some time off after my undergrad to actually work in public television. And it was a great experience, but it wasn't exactly the film experience that I wanted. And I was living in Maryland at the time. So there's not really a big film industry there.
Mhm.
Coming here, I definitely feel like I feel a lot more prepared. And when people ask me questions about film, I'm not just like standing there like, oh God, I don't know what to say. Yeah, really good.
Yeah. I guess it depends on what you mean by prepare for the industry. Because if you're looking just to get like time on set, yes, you do get a. I mean, obviously with COVID, it's this huge curveball, but we're still trying our best. You know, as Henry is, I think, making her film this weekend. I'm shooting next weekend. The program is very valuable for that. But yeah, if you mean by preparing for the industry in terms of like just beyond being able to go onto a set and confidently know, you know, a C stand from a baby stand from, you know, a 1K to a 2K, you're definitely getting that experience. Yeah, I guess, Catherine, what do you mean by prepare for the industry?
So right now I'm doing my thesis and it's COVID, like it's different because we're not allowed to be on sets. And I'm not getting the education, you know, prior to COVID. So I don't know a lot on set. I love writing and I love editing, but you know, you take one class of Avid and you don't know all what you could do with it. And I was thinking, you know, yeah, there's people in the industry that would take on and help you and guide you because that's what new old filmmakers are always teaching new filmmakers. But if I ever want to do editing, I want to be able to know head to toe what to do. And I don't think undergrads prepare you for that as much as a master program can.
Yeah, I would say I think in that sense, then the program has really been helpful. If it's just a question, like I said, of just getting time on set and getting experience working in a set environment, the Patty and Gina will get mad at me for saying this, but you don't need to go to film school to do that. You can just do that in the industry. But if you're looking more like the deeper level stuff, like what you mentioned with editing, like I personally, I took a long time between undergrad and going to film school. I spent time in television working in unscripted development, both on set and then at a network. And so I didn't know anything about, I knew about editing in the sense I can go to an editing booth and be like, okay, let's do a talking head with her. That's fun. But like the actual nitty gritty of learning Avid, Henry and I were in an Avid class together and they really put you through it. Like they really put you through the ringer. You come out of it really knowing editing. And that's just the class alone. That's not even getting into like your classmates, the little tips and tricks you pick up just from being around people, once in class, on set, being friends, that kind of stuff. So yes, it's a long answer to a question.
And Gino, isn't there an editing track if you
There
choose?
is. There's
Yes.
an editing track where you can specialize in editing, and in addition to the other courses you might take, you'll have 3 specialized advanced editing courses. You're required to take at least 3 specialized advanced editing courses. And another important factor that I don't know if Emmett, Henrietta, and Brendan have explored it yet is that you're required to do an internship as part of the program. And so, we want that internship to be valuable and worthwhile. And if you were doing an editing internship, we would expect you to be learning a lot of the nuances of editing in that.
For that, Ro, how would the application work if you only took like one class of editing in your undergrad program?
That's not of concern to us.
Mm-hmm.
We sometimes admit students who have no film and television experience. We're looking for students with potential and stories to tell, and we provide the fundamentals if you don't already have the fundamentals.
Okay, thank you.
And I don't know if this is what you meant by asking that, but you don't declare a specialization immediately. So you spend a year and a half exploring a lot if you want to. If you're already set on it, and I think it just allows you to get experience in different areas that you might not be as familiar with. But yeah, I'm still not totally sure what I'm doing. So Just wanted to mention that as well.
I mean, I know plenty of people who came in being like, I'm gonna do like directing, man. That's it. Like that's it for me in an hour. Like, no, I'm an editor. Like I tried it, and you know, it's not for me.
And that's the beauty of grad school. In our writing programs, we also encourage you to explore genres you've never written in. We require you take both comedy and drama, series writing, and we get complaints. I'm not funny. I'm not a comedy writer. And then, of course, as soon as they start the workshop, they discover they're quite gifted comedically. So this grad school is a time to explore and discover where you fit, you know, where your voice is. And we really encourage that.
In fact, in production, we spend much of that first year having you do that. The first directing class you take is basically trying to find your voice and exposure to several different methods of producing film. Other questions?
Anything at all.
Feel free to shout it out, folks. This isn't.
I
have to
have
raise your hand.
a question.
Mhm.
So in LMU, like how's the environment for an international student in general?
Well, I think I'm probably in a better position to answer this than the students. So in production, we have a very high percentage of international students. It might be as high as 40% international students. And we have students from, 11, 12 different countries around the world from most continents. And, it's we enjoy having international students bringing, a perspective that many of our domestic students might not have been exposed to. So I think I would say the environment is very good for international students.
Same goes with screenwriting. Our percentage is probably a bit less, but also because of language issues, screenwriting is a very difficult language in itself. We want to make sure you are well versed enough in English to meet the challenge of screenwriting. But we have currently students from Nigeria, Puerto Rico, Brazil, Spain. Canada, of course.
Out of Canada.
Yeah.
Nastasia.
France. Oh, we have two
And
from France.
Lebanon, China. I mean,
Yeah.
Barbados.
Yeah.
Ethiopia.
Yeah.
All over the place.
All over.
And I think to add to that too, LMU does a really good job with the Office of International Students and Scholars to assist students with the visa process while they are enrolled. So you won't ever have to feel like you have to file your own, I-20, for example, which is a form that international students need to file if they want to work on campus. And of course, it's going to take your own initiative as a student, but it's really important too, I think, that to just note that we do have that support service for students to navigate that, especially as we think about COVID and how international students are accessing graduate school right now.
I think I know I've had Emmett as a student. Well, actually, I've had Ed and Brendan as a student, and I think especially Emmett could share that there were several international students in the class that you had with me.
Yeah, I mean, in my cohort alone, I think it was like out of 4 people. No, how many were in my original cohort? It was like 4 people out of like 12 were from America. Everybody else, like I said, was from like one was from Armenia. The other was a couple from China, Lebanon, and France. It's just
Prashant from India.
Prashant, India. I mean, really, just like people from all over the world. Honestly, that was one of for me. I mean, like I said, I'm from New York. I'm not that total rube, falling off the back of the turnip truck, but that it's really took me by surprise, the level of like how many international students here. It really does seem like it's a real effort to bring in people who aren't just like, who have not, I mean, it's corny and it's silly, but like that kind of like real diversity of background and experience and worldview, that when you really start bouncing off one another, that's where really interesting things happen. Like some of my best friends are international students. I'm not saying like I never would have, but it's that kind of thing of like, you know, Krushan, that Gino mentioned, is a friend of mine, and he was from India, and I, like I said, I'm from New York, and it never would have expected that we would make a movie together in a way that's really fun.
I mean, same goes with our screenwriting workshops. We populate our cohorts with um, people, writers from all walks of life, from every end of experience, so they can bring those voices to the workshop and create a really vibrant, exciting, lively conversation, because everyone's giving feedback to each other and bringing different perspectives to the work, and that only enriches the work from each writer. And seeing it evolve from year 1 to year 3, for me as both a professor and grad director, is really exciting, just to see the evolution of the artist through our program. And I do have to say, the third year is crucial. Some applicants question, well, why is this 3 years when other programs are 2? And the reason is, and I'll speak for writing, is there's no substitute to developing as a writer than to rewrite. And because of the third year, we have time to require rewrite workshops. So you don't just dabble and do a first draft of a script and let it go. That subsequent semester, you're rewriting that same script. So you come out of LMU with 3 very polished works, screenplays plus pilots, and all of that has been workshopped over and over to get them to be reader ready for the industry. Right, Katie?
I was like, this is directed at. No, I totally 100% agree. I'm at the end of year 2, and I can say from experience, I would not be ready to enter the industry right now. I believe at the end of third year, I will have a portfolio of at least 5 pieces of work that then I can go and try to find a manager who will start working with me and prepare you. So, because that portfolio is what you can give to your manager. It's what you
Exactly.
can start to get jobs in the writer's room. So yeah, very important as I pull on lighters all the time.
It'll be worth it.
Yeah.
Taylor, any thoughts about your experience or the third year? Or
Yeah, I mean, I'm also a second year, and I very much value the rewriting process. I feel like it's has the most freedom for me as a writer, because I just feel like something's on the page and I can just like do whatever I want at that point. I don't have to like find like the structure. And I feel like when it comes to like where I am and how I feel confident in like my writing. However, I very much am so excited that I have another year to like work on it, because even like during these past breaks that we've had, usually I don't really feel motivated to write during them, but like during this past spring break and like during summer breaks, I feel more motivated to like work on rewrites, because I'm trying to like get it to a point where like after I graduate, I feel like in a better space, and it's something that I'm proud of to put in my portfolio.
Yeah, if I can just add, for year 3, especially for WPTV, writing and producing for television, when it's not in COVID times, when it's not these dark times, we get to produce our thesis, and
Right.
it's a real production, and we work with production, and we can produce this piece of work. It can be a sizzle reel, it can be a trailer, it can be a short film. But also because of COVID, it's kind of sparked some of us to be kind of creative. So we're working with animation now, and we're looking towards graphic novels and comics. So honestly, when it comes to a school that allows you freedom to try new things, I would say LMU is up there, because some places like USC are really, they're stuck their ways, and it's hard time adapting. But we have video games now. We're going to ask if we can start bringing video games into portfolio. So yes, when it comes to third year, that's where you can really start spreading your wings and getting really crazy with stuff, which is great.
Marcus.
Hey, so I have two questions. One question is related to what Caitlin was just talking about. It was about like how much can you work with students outside of the like writing and producing programs, like the video game or animation programs, and like create stuff with them. And then the other one was how has, or this is for writing students, how has your comfort level with pitching and produce or what's it called?
Pitching.
The word, yeah, pitching and presenting your ideas. How has your comfort level improved with that?
I can go first if you want, Katie, or do you want?
No, go for it.
Well, in regards to like the video game question, there is I don't know what not an extracurricular, but
Elective.
an elective, thank
Yeah.
you. There isn't a video game writing elective. I personally didn't take it, but
I did.
okay, well, yeah, go for it then.
No,
I've seen people love it.
Pitching.
Okay, yeah, I'll talk about pitching.
Yeah.
I was definitely the person that like wanted to go last. Like I was like, I'm not gonna raise my hand. I'm just gonna be the last person. So honestly, it's been like a really like great journey because now I'm like the first person to give notes or like the first person to like want to like contribute and like talk about my story. And I found that like the way that the rooms are set up, and I think it's even helped honestly because of COVID, that because you can't just like sit there in silence. It's really awkward. So it's like forced us. And I think I had great professors who are just like, they want to hear, and it's supposed to be about collaboration and like how we can help each other. And as far as pitching my own ideas, I just feel like the sooner I do it at this point, like my mentality is like the sooner I do it, the more I can like, the faster I can work on it, the faster I can get notes to improve it and do better. So it's, you get really comfortable and like the people in the classroom, you're gonna have like throughout your 3 years, you're gonna get really comfortable with them as well. And as far as taking it outside of the classroom, I think it'll transfer over because I even had an internship where we had to like present every single week on coverage that we did. And I felt myself being like, oh, okay, it's fine. Like, I know what I'm talking about. Just like trusting yourself that you know what you're talking about is fine. And if you don't, like, I found like being honest about that is the way to go. Don't BS. I feel like that's like how you get caught up in like showing them that you don't know what you're talking about at all. And people can catch on to that so fast.
Yeah, I want to say too about pitching. So third year, we put you through the ringer in terms of pitch practice to get you ready for the first pitch event. So those are like dedicated rehearsals where you'll be practice pitching to industry people and alums who just want to coach you and help you. It's all about the repetition and the practice. But you'll also be taking an entertainment business affairs class. And in that class, you'll be pitching projects as well to the two professors who are professional creative producers. So you're going to have a lot of practice. But truthfully, you know, whether you're a director, a producer, a writer, you're going to have to tell your stories and be comfortable telling them. And that's what pitching is, you know, but yes, being succinct, hooking the listener, but really engaging them with your passion for your story. And you'll get used to that because in every workshop, you're going to be pitching in some form, as Taylor said.
I completely agree. And you will learn mottos and adages and ways of people simplifying it for you because you have a complete story in your head that has all this background information and you think it's so important, otherwise they won't get it. It's fine. They'll get it. Basically, what is your story about? If you can answer that in 2 to 3 sentences, you're fine.
Yeah.
It's just getting to that point where you can finally succinct it to 3 sentences at
Right.
most.
Right.
As far as video games and stuff goes, we're still in the process of buffing that up. I think after COVID, it's going to be to a point where we finally have a good foothold in it. And video games was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, but I came out with 5 scripts. I came out with learning new software on how to do text-based video games. I mean, it was a lot of fun. And for animation, we are just now getting in touch with the animation department, seeing how we can start communicating and combining our programs, because animation is only undergrad. They don't have a grad program. But when I tell you their admin and their faculty are so open for collaboration, it's amazing. So there's a few of us who are already in contact with them. So this is going to start innovating, and we're going to start getting to that point where we can really start doing storyboards and stuff like that.
I've actually had discussions with the chair of animation about designing a kind of an introductory animation class for our production graduate students, just so they would have exposure and understand the workflow and just understand the fundamentals so they could work with animators effectively.
I think there's some writers who are really interested in animation, especially storyboarding. So if we could get that as an elective,
Yeah, we should create an elective.
Patty and I could work on that.
Yeah, storyboarding, please.
Thank you.
So let's just throw out some questions like, if you today were working in the industry and when you close your eyes, what existing show or movie right now that you've really admired do you wish you had created? I mean, where do you see your voice and your vision reflected in any kind of media today?
Is this question for us, or is it?
It's for, well, for anyone, sure. if the current students want to kick it off, that's great. And if not, I just
All rolling, break that
want
ice.
to hear from others. I mean, why do you want to tell stories? What's the draw for you? What excites you that's getting done today?
So Emmett, I know that you're always good for an answer.
Yeah, fuck.
What would you what would you wish you had produced or directed?
Right now, I will say I really wish I had produced For All Mankind. I just started watching the 2nd season on Apple TV Plus. It's a show by Ronald D. Moore, who's someone I've been following for showing my age, following for a while, ever since Battlestar Galactica.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah, where it's got a hook where the first season's a little wonky, where it's all about what if the Russians beat the US to the moon? The Russians get to the moon first, they land on the moon first, and then NASA, as a response to that, gets like a blank check. They're like, anything you need just to like beat those damn Russians, you got it. So the first season's kind of like they're leaning a little bit on the right stuff, like 1960s, jet age stuff. But in the 2nd season, which just started, they get less historical, more alternate, and they start playing with the setting more, and like there's a time skip. And I gotta say, the first 3 episodes, just when I thought I was out, they got me back in again. I still find it hard to buy Joel Kinnaman as an American. There's just something about his musicality of his.
I love him.
I know he's a very good actor, but there's just something in the way he talks that he has a flawless American accent, but it still sounds like he's Danish or something, being like, hello, fellow American. Like, I am one of you. But that's a series that kind of snuck up on me. I mean, there's so much good stuff right now. Like, I live alone. I got a dog for a roommate, so it's couch, TV, bed, desk, couch, TV, bed.
I live with my parents. It's even worse.
You just signed. That's a transition for you to talk about something you like and get me out of the spotlight.
Well, Caitlin, if it makes you feel any better, my grandchildren like kind of come in and out, like
Yeah.
when they're between apartments, they'll move in for a couple of months and then move back out. And
I think it's the East Texas vibes, and I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah, I wish before I got in, I wanted to do something like Over the Garden Wall, which is the animation. It was short, it won tons of awards, but it wasn't for completely for homage. If you like pastiche, if you remember the old children's books where animals talked, and Over the Garden Wall is probably some of the best writing I have ever seen. Some of the best voice acting. Elijah Wood just is amazing. I don't know how they got a little boy to be able to be so good. Not Elijah Wood. He was full grown. But
Like a boy, looks like a boy, but is full
that
grown.
old. He's
He
my
made
age.
that mistake, not the first time.
And Raised by Wolves right now is probably the thing that I go back to when I look at fan theories, because Ridley Scott took this amazing idea that the showrunner has, and he added this alien, early alien, not the silly things they're doing these days, like the first Alien, just Alien. And
You really 3 and he's shooting 2 movies in COVID.
oh, that doesn't surprise me. But he's an alien. He's not human. But anyway,
No, David O. Russell's shooting in downtown LA. A friend of mine is one of the big gaffers on it, and it's 1930s with picture cars, Christian Bale and De Niro, and they're all shooting, but they have to get a COVID test every morning.
Yeah, Tom Cruise is shooting right now a new Mission Impossible. Can't wait.
Did anyone see White Tiger? Has everyone seen White Tiger? Because I loved it. It's one of my favorite movies of the year, so I highly recommend it. Must see. Taylor, what did you think?
I loved it as well. I watched it in the middle of a move, like moving from LA back to home. So it was like this very I don't know. It's weirdly, I don't know. I kind of saw it as like a tragedy. I don't know if anybody else watched. Yeah. So the ending was very it was like anxiety provoking to me. I thought it was so it was such a weird idea of him escaping a system, but he's building his own system, and I thought that was mind blowing. So I really was wow. I kind of, it made me rethink about framing stories, and because I think that's so brave, because to tell 2 stories at once, and I was really hesitant to do that, and now I'm attempting to do that currently. So yeah, it was really good.
There is one show that's coming out, hasn't come out yet, but I read the pilot for it. Kevin Can F Himself. It's the same. And I read the pilot for that one, and that one was something I wish that and I don't think I could have, at least at this stage in my writing career, could have ever thought of this, where the transition scenes are all going from, it explicitly states single camera to multi-camera and stuff like that, and just the way it takes some of those classic sitcom styles and changes it so quickly to this really dark, it's a very dark story. I don't know if any of you seen the trailer, but that was something that I read, I had the privilege of reading, and I was just blown away, and it's definitely something to look out for. I think Rashida Jones is directing it or wrote it. I forget, but that one was one of those things that it was awesome to read.
Is that Netflix or where is it?
I don't know. It hasn't come out yet. They only did a trailer, and so I read the pilot, but it was such an interesting take on your classic housewife sitcom that we've seen just on any channel. And they really bring it into this whole murder vibe, and it's so wild, going back and forth, but it's so
it's AMC.
Is it? Oh
yeah, you beat me to it, Nicole. Okay.
I'll post the trailer in the chat for everyone too.
It's definitely worth it. It's one of the coolest things I've read this year.
Well, if you like that kind of genre bending, bouncing between stuff, you should check out the Larry Sanders Show. It's an older show on HBO, but that is the exact
classic.
same kind of.
Now you're really showing your age.
I didn't watch it when it came out. I watched it years later. I'm not that old.
I watched it when it came out.
It's okay. I still beat you, and it's fine.
I recently really enjoyed the Chicago 7. I don't know if you've seen that, but that is a really superb movie.
It's okay.
And I was just about to bring up, speaking of Sacha Baron Cohen, the second Borat movie, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. It was really amazing. Schadenfreude and all that.
Well, he had to wear.
It was an amazing.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
No. I think you and I are thinking of the same scene.
Well, I saw him in a panel, of course, on Zoom, interviewed about the process of making Borat 2, and it was absolutely fascinating. What a production ordeal, because though they had a very tight script, they had to constantly go off script and keep writing as challenges arose or new characters came upon them that they didn't expect, or people they didn't know would cooperate who did. But he also had to wear a bulletproof vest for some of it. And he really risked a lot to make this film, which he said, I had to do something to save democracy, to fight racism, anti-Semitism, intolerance. I had to make this sequel. And we figured out the father-daughter frame that grounded it in an emotional relationship. But when they first started, they had a small writer's room. They didn't know what the sequel would be. It was literally a spitballing of what is the best way to illuminate America in the Trumpian world, basically. And so it's fascinating to hear them talk about that process.
Another series that recently really captured my attention was Ted Lasso. Have any of you seen Ted Lasso?
Ted Lasso snuck up on me. I kept seeing
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love him.
the pilot didn't do it for me. But I'll stick
the
with
series is good. I really
It's really good. I went to undergrad in the UK, so a lot of it was like, oh, okay, like I see what you're bringing. Where's the level for the camera? We're like bringing the two,
the
sensibility.
fish out of water.
Yeah.
I very much enjoyed Jason Sudeikis' Golden Globe acceptance speech. That's actually what got me to watch the show.
I didn't see that, but
he looked very divorced.
It was very Jason Sudeikis, and just I feel like my girlfriend just left me for Harry Styles kind of deal.
Is that what happened?
Yes. And then he looked the part. It was, but he did it well.
I don't know if anybody watches a lot of UK television, but Dairy Girls, which was revolutionary to me. Yes, Taylor. They're now shooting season 3. I just wanted to announce that to the world. I know. Yes.
I'm a big UK television fan. I'm an Acorn subscriber, so.
Oh wow.
And BritBox. And BritBox.
Wow. Their new Temple show with Dave Iowade is just probably Richard Iowade is probably one of the funniest things on television right now. It's great for him because he hates being hugged. So COVID guidelines are great for him.
Well, I want to know what some of our prospective applicants up here watch.
Me too. Marcus, spill it.
So I'm having a really hard time thinking of new stuff that I'm watching for some reason.
Well, even old stuff. Tell us something you liked. Something you liked in the last 20 years.
20 years. Samurai Jack. It keeps coming to these things.
My son.
Watching Samurai Jack when I was a kid, that was the first time I started thinking about story and how it could change things for a show like that. Because I was just watching because, oh, he's fighting robots with a sword, cool. but I think there was this one episode where it started with like the perspective of one of the robots that he ended up killing at the end, like one of Aku's baddies, and like you just get to see like even the bad guys are being manipulated by him too. Um, yeah. So
Well, DeSalle said Joker and Slumdog Millionaire. I agree. Both of those are amazing films. Thank you.
So don't say I just have that kind of taste. The whole point of film school is taking all the stuff you learn and stealing all the shit you like out of it and putting that together into the stuff you want to make.
No, that's not stealing. That's paying homage. That's paying homage, not stealing.
Yeah, it's truly. If I learned one thing in film school, it's like you can just steal this shit. Like,
Yes,
you
Mercedes.
just what?
WandaVision was great, Mercedes. I agree.
And The Good Place too. Yes.
Hell yeah,
yeah. That's good. Yeah.
As a philosophy major, that was tickling my fancy.
Looks like we got a lot of WandaVision. Yay!
WandaVision, A Teacher, The Queen's Gambit, and Superstore from Desmond.
Queen's Gambit was
so
really
funny.
good.
I haven't finished A Teacher. Who said A Teacher? I want to hear what you think about it.
Yeah.
Because
What's that, Chris?
Oh, there's
I'm sorry to bring you on stage, but welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm in the East Coast, and I go to SCAD, so I just got out of class. I know I came late, but A Teacher I thought it was really well drafted, because it's a story dealing with statutory rape, which is very touching. You have to take that a little bit delicately, and the way they handled it, it was in no aspect of it was it idealized or made into any type of fairy tale. It was taken very seriously for what it was, which was an adult woman taking advantage of a young child. And the way they were able to, I know it came from a movie that came out years ago originally, and a novel, and just the way that they were able to draft that story with in just Nick Robinson and Kate Mara, like really just selling those performances. I was blown away by it. It was one of my favorites of like the past couple months, definitely.
You've sold me. I'll continue to watch it. Thank you. Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I thought it was I think I wasn't expecting it to be so real. And so it was very uncomfortable to watch, especially when I got into the second episode and I was like, oh, it's happening. This is real. So
yeah, and that was the biggest draw to me, because of how viscerally honest that they were trying to be with that show and that story and just the subject matter, and they didn't shy away from all the uncomfortable aspects of it that you as the viewer are forced to sit through, and it really does make you actually analyze what's going on in front of your face. And it was so good. Please, yes, finish it.
Cool.
I May Destroy You was brought out by Henrietta, and that was really brilliant and inspiring, because when the filmmaker Michaela first sold it, no one would let her direct it, and she held out until she got the right to direct her story. And I thought that was really noble and admirable and courageous that she held out till she could really execute her own story.
I see we have some Mandalorian fans here.
So I think Emma said Behind Her Eyes. Is that the one with what Zoe? Am I thinking of the right movie?
It's
Zoe Lister.
It's The Dream. It's the one about I don't know. I'm not familiar with any of the.
That's the one with the insane ending.
Oh my god! It's not my genre, and so I was kind of surprised when I watched all 6 hours in a day. It was so good. I was blown away. That was a really good one.
Okay, cool. That is not what I was thinking then. Okay, that's really cool. Sounds good.
Schitt's Creek, anyone?
Oh
It's
my
pretty
gosh.
nice. It's very Canadian, which is it's very pleasant. It's very soothing. It's a very soothing show.
Hilarious.
It's just so funny that Dan Levy is exactly like his dad. Like it's just like just one fun look, energy, vibe. There's no, like there's just the same guy. Oh, that's it. Oh, Catherine. Oh, I'm not muted.
Ah, yes.
Oh, I'm not muted either.
Yes, so I'm glad Catherine brought up the first season of True Detective. That was really brilliant. That's the kind of thing I write, that kind of dark crime procedural stuff. And that was amazing. It's just absolutely, the character work in that was just unbelievable.
I have you covered on horror, but I feel like I've talked enough.
Are you guys familiar with a movie called a series called Babylon Berlin? That, if you're interested in crime, it's set in Weimar, Germany, before World War II. It's a crime drama set in Weimar, Germany. It's really interesting. Yeah.
So nobody's brought up Get Out, but it's one of my favorites and something I teach. What's interesting is when you look into the making of that script, as I'm sure many of you have studied Jordan Peele and his work, but the opening to that was completely different than what ended up on the screen. And of course, you know about the alternate ending to Get Out, which is really interesting too. I don't want to, in case anyone hasn't seen it, I'm sure you all have, really quite brilliant, really paved the way. I mean, really created a new genre. It was
His house, Henrietta mentioned His House. Yes, that was an amazing film.
It's probably my favorite horror film to date.
wow.
I was so excited when they casted her in Lovecraft Country. Yes, Lovecraft.
I say that's high praise coming from Henry. If that's the best horror film.
Yeah.
No,
I'm
it's brilliant.
a fanatic and I love His House. So I think you guys should watch it if you haven't already.
All right. Yeah, no, Desmond, Watchmen was amazing. Watchmen was so good. I listened to that soundtrack all the time. Like that was one, like I can say I'm a white guy in film school. I like comics. But I was skeptical going into that series, and then it really snuck up on me. And by the end, it was really something. Like that the last shot and the song, I could see you bugging, and it's like it was so
I
good.
mean, it was crazy because it comes from a comic book, and how they really said every single panel that you read is fully canon in live action, and how they just continued that story. It's like I mean, I've been rewatching that show literally for like the past year.
I can say that's certainly, it was one of those things that, like I said, you steal from a lot of people, but you watch that and you're like, wow, you can do that. Like you can go there, you can like do these things, like, whoa, I think it was a one and done, Caitlin. I think it was just, he had a one season for
Lovecraft Country?
Sorry, for Watchmen. I don't know if Lovecraft Country has been renewed or not, but Watchmen was just, I respect that the guy was like, no, it's a one and done, it's one season, this is my thing, that's it. Which there's people always lament what happened to the $50 million movie, like what happened to the mid-budget adult drama. It's all on TV now.
Exactly.
All of prestige TV was just directors and producers realizing I can get more money and more time to play in this playground on TV than doing it for a theater. Of course I'm going to go to HBO and turn this into like an 8-hour, like Pretty Little Lies 20 years ago to have been like, yeah, go see Pretty Little Lies. That was nice. Now, but to bring it back to film school.
Well, it's all changed, and that's the beauty of our programs is I'm proud of the fact we're keeping up with the changes in the business. And so that we're, at least in the writing programs, you're going to come out with a portfolio that shows you can write across platforms and genres. because you never know, are you going to sell a feature or are you going to end up in a writer's room? That is a whole new plan for a writer. When I came up the ranks, I was just a feature writer. And if you failed in features, you'd do TV. And now it's almost the reverse. So it's, I mean, I know Gino remembers those old days when studios were king and queen, and there were 4 networks to pitch to. I mean, and it's exciting just to see how the opportunities have blown up, you know, exponentially for
Yeah,
everyone.
in those days, you were able to watch everything that was on television. Rather
Because
than a
we had
fraction of
4
it.
networks.
Yeah.
Patty,
Yeah.
I was wondering if adaptation is something that I know we struggled with in TV last term. Almost 90% of us wanted to take it, and I know we struggled. And I think that might be something that interests a lot of the people we have here. So do you think that it would be something that we could expand on in the
Well,
future?
we not only offer adaptation every semester as an elective, but we require it for writing for the screen. So, and we let in WPTV writers, right? So,
we just fight for them.
what?
We just fight for them. We just,
Yeah, and we're gonna, you know, if there's more of a fight, we'll add sections. But
yeah.
I mean, adaptation, as everybody knows, is the heart and soul of any kind of filmmaking. Everything you see, I would say 90% of what's being made in any platform is based on IP, intellectual property. So yes, you know, you must learn how to adapt one medium to the other, and you will. I mean, those, you know, that's really important. And some of our thesis scripts in the writing programs are based on source material. Oh, fun fact, speaking of adaptation, a young writer named Evan Romansky decided to write the prequel to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest without any rights in a LMU writing workshop. And at our first pitch, I introduced him to a manager who became his manager, Jacob Epstein, who read Ratchet, brought it to CAA, brought it to Ryan Murphy, and you now have seen the Golden Globe nominations for this amazing show with Sarah Paulson. So that's adaptation for you. And that was a real risk because he did not have any rights. He didn't think anything would happen. He just loved the challenge of it. So that's one of the fun stories of adaptation coming out of here.
I can say that while I don't have a story quite like that, I can say, obviously, we talked a little bit earlier about pitching and bringing people into, you know, on the writing side. For the production side, right now, Henry and I are both in a class that's feature writing that we took in the spring, and now we're continuing on through the back half of the semester, where we're writing an indie feature that's sort of with the intention of having something you can theoretically direct, like a micro budget, you know, indie feature that you can take out and shop around. And our teacher, you know, she's saying like, I'm going to try to bring in people, you know, for you to meet. So the faculty is very much always trying to make that connection happen for you, because, you know, not to put too fine a point on it, your success is their success. You know, they get to say like, hey, I taught this guy, we have that, you know, they want to make that happen for you.
And I can say COVID made some things a lot easier because everybody was off. So I was taking video games in the fall. We got some of the most amazing guest speakers you could have ever imagined, who probably wouldn't have been available otherwise.
It's true.
And because video games, we would normally have gone to studios, we normally would have been very interactive in the classroom, but to substitute that, we got voice actors coming in. We got one of the original creators of D&D to come in and talk to us. So, I mean, we had, it was, COVID that did a lot, but it also did some great things too.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we can keep up that momentum as well.
Definitely.
I actually think it's changed the way we're going to do some of those things too. I mean, I think because in the past we always felt like a speaker had to be in person. But now it's so easy for somebody to just hop online, talk to you for an hour, and then go back to their dinner. That a lot more people are willing to be guest speakers and to participate in student activities and student programs than in the non-COVID days. But I think that's going to carry over to
Yeah,
once
I
we're back
agree.
to some degree of normality. It's going to be more of a hybrid,
Yeah.
even when we're doing in-person events.
Definitely. It's a definite upside.
Do we have any final questions about the program that, we brought these guys out from, I know they're probably hard at work on some project. Emmett needs and Henrietta need to be working on their shoot here. Do you have any?
Any excuse to get away, please.
Procrastination is one of the important tools in our toolkit.
Oh my gosh, isn't it? I get an hour.
I will say the thing I find the most fascinating about film and television, and the thing that always motivated me, was you have to put your name on it at the end, and I don't want to put my name on anything that embarrasses me. So that's always been a big motivator for me.
So Bernardo has a question, except he's muted. Can you unmute?
You could type it in the chat too. If you like.
Sorry.
You're good.
Hi, I'm joining you from Spain, and I am interested in the writing and producing for TV program.
Okay.
And I'd like to know how the writing and the producing sides balance out. I mean, how much emphasis is given to each one of these two aspects of creating a TV show. So if you could give me some information about that, I'd truly appreciate it.
Katie?
So year one, semester one, you are going to have an elements class that's going to teach you the fundamentals of producing. You're going to learn how to work with equipment, and you're going to shoot something by the end of that term. You're also going to have the fundamentals of television and a television history class. If those three don't give you a good idea of how you are to proceed from there, but you will have some semesters that are more heavy based in TV writing, and then right now where I'm getting into the budgeting, which is the hardest part for me because math is not that's why I'm a writer. I can't do math. So you will have a budgeting class that teaches you how to do budgeting, because in year 3, you get to do a thesis. And when it's not COVID dark times, you will be producing something. You are going to hire a director. You're going to hire actors. We're going to teach you all this stuff. You're going to have your upperclassmen to help you every step of the way. And when your upperclassmen aren't around, talk to prod students. And then if they're not there, you have faculty, and the faculty are always there to answer your questions. But you'll be able to work on other people's productions as well. So you're not just stuck doing your own thing. But you'll have TV writing, but then you also have rewrites. You'll learn how to do what we would say a writer's room. You'll do a lot of mock writer's room stuff. So you'll learn the business behind the writer's room, which is really important, where you'll start and where you want to end up being an EP, being the showrunner. They're always going to tease you. That's that's the end goal, right? To be a showrunner. And to be a showrunner, you got to kind of learn all that stuff, because what you won't know is that when the episode you're on is yours, you will be on set that day. Mm-hmm. When you're on set that day, everyone's going to come to you to ask, what do we do here? What do you want this? What do you want that? You're going to be watching your actors to make sure the lines right, that they're on point and stuff. So you'll learn all of that stuff here, trust me. Yeah.
And so you might end up producing something you wrote, or something somebody else wrote.
No, you'll be producing. And when I say producing, it's kind of you won't be directing unless you can prove it to LMU that you can actually direct. They're not going to let you in your thesis. You're going to have to hire a director from production like Emmett or someone to come in and direct for you, but it will be your work. So you will produce either a trailer, a sizzle reel, or a short film. Or if you really want to get crazy, you can go to animation and be like, hey, I want to spend $100,000 to animate my short film, because animation's expensive.
Right. So usually the produced thesis is what we call a proof of concept for the entire show or pilot. So you come out with a produced product that can be used to sell a bigger project. It also shows your writing and producing skills as well. So it's got several purposes.
And since I'm technically immune compromised and I can't be on set for a while, I'm going to be doing storyboards with the animation department. So no matter what, there's an option, even if you're terrified of holding a camera like me.
We're going to be going through the specific curriculum in our next part of open house. So that'll give you an even clearer idea of how it lays out.